NorthJerseySports.com's original multimedia series talking all things hoops across North Jersey. And we are finally all settled in. The gang's all here as making his triumphant return to the NorthJerseySports.com multimedia airwaves is my co-host. And the man that this show is named after, he is Richie Ballgame Barton. What's going on, Richie B?
Oh, not much. I mean, right now we got an extra tournament to talk about. Lots of things going on in Bergen County hoops.
About 6 months you've been off the air, and that's the best opening you can give us. Talking into the side of your phone. Guy. maybe you'll get better as the show goes along here, because it's going to be a good one. We are going. Let's just bring in the other member of our panel. Our illustrious panel of North Jersey basketball insiders, as we are going full Bergen County Girls Basketball Tournament and Bergen County Invitational Girls Basketball Tournament. The head coach of the Mahwah Fighting Thunderbirds is Scott Papetti. What's going on, Scotty?
What's up, man? This is I love it, yearly occurrence.
Yes.
It's about the same time every year we're on. I love it.
Yeah, no, it feels good, too, because Richie B is back in the fold. He's going to be out doing games tomorrow. We got tournament action breaking out all over the place this weekend. We had a little bit of a taste of it. This past weekend, I was up in Oakland to see one of the two first-round Bergen County Girls Basketball Tournament games between number 17 Park Ridge and number 16 Indian Hills. The Group 1 Park Ridgers came away with the victory there. So, Scotty, we'll get into some more specifics about tournaments and stuff, but this is an interesting time around Bergen County girls basketball because of the advent of this invitational tournament. You guys are in it, and so why don't you give us, as far as you know, as an active head coach on the Bergen County scene, like what was the impetus for this, and what is the what are coaches of programs similar to yours feeling about the way things are set up this year?
Well, I mean, this is something that a couple of us have been talking about for a bunch of years. Even before I got back into high school, I mean, I had talked to coaches about the fact that, the landscape has changed as far as what we all kind of grew up with the girls' Bergen County tournament, and the fact that, it's kind of very, it's top-heavy right now, and really no shot at that quote-unquote upset that makes the county tournament so special, where, I know I'm switching sports here, but Richie Park beating St. Joe's and beating Kaminsky in baseball, like that's what makes that special. In girls basketball right now, there's no one that's going to upset the top two seeds right now, or top three, say, maybe. You know what I mean? It's just not happening. So the fact that they've implemented the invitational, I know that a lot of coaches were very, very receptive to it. And, you look at the bracket, and there's a lot of teams in here that have been in the Bergen County tournament from year to year. And maybe some of them have been one and done. Others may have won a game or two. But I think it's a very competitive field, and I think it's something that it just makes for a better balance, That's the way I feel.
I could not agree with you anymore. I talked about it. Well, I was talking to your former boss last week, Scotty, in the living room of the great Dave Saplicki, Ashley Saplicki of Rutgers Newark. I know you coached with her for a couple years there. And at the end of that, Dave Saplicki and I talked a little bit about the landscape of Bergen County girls basketball and the tournament and everything else. And I get accused of being a Saddle River Day hater through some unofficial and anonymous lines of communication, and I'm fine with that. But people. Certainly, my opinion doesn't count more than anybody else's. So that's all it is. Nope. If you don't like it, that's fine. If you like it, great. So I'm not offended one way or the other. My whole point being, and I got nothing against Saddle River Day, contrary to popular belief. It's just that teams don't. Why would you want to go lose by 60 points? I mean, I grew up in the era of the great Bogota boys basketball team, the Group 1 team that everybody talks about and still points to why we still have to play these games because of that Bogota team that won.
Yep.
But, in all reality, that Bogota team's never coming down the pike. In fact, the closest thing we've seen to it is the Cresco boys basketball team in the Jamboree last year, which lost by 40-plus points to Don Bosco Prep in the semifinals last year. So
exactly,
and that is, I think, what a lot of coaches that I've spoken to, and Scott, you have a history on the show, and I'm very happy that you're back on when we would have had you regardless and everything else. But I have talked to a lot of other coaches, and I, even gone as far as inviting them on the show to talk about this. But I don't want to put people in a position to have to try to say, to try to mince words and try to say, here's why we don't want to play, whatever. It's about competition, and no one wants to admit that, hey, we got no shot to win. But Richie B, as guys who don't have teams in this, as non-head coaches, we can say it, that for the better of competitive balance in Bergen County and for keeping more schools interested at this time of year, and more teams interested, where they might not even, enter the tournament if things were the way they were and they had to be the 32 seed and play the number 1 right off the bat and lose by 80 points because somebody's not going to pull a press off in the second half. What are your perceptions? Because, in all honesty and full disclosure, Richie B and Danny Brown have a very good relationship, the Saddlebrook head coach. So go ahead, Richie B.
Danny Brown.
Speak into your phone, please. I know you've been gone for a long time, but please, speak into your phone.
Danny Brown's one of my guys. I get along with the team well. I know some people out, and I get it. If I was an opposing coach and I was, playing twice a year or whatever, and I was getting beat by 50, 60 points, yeah, I'd be a little salty. But, I mean, he's built a program over there, and you know what? In essence, their dominance recently has kind of really helped facilitate the girls' invitational tournament, and I think that's a good thing for Bergen County basketball because the way the landscape is going, as Scotty said, this has kind of been coming for some time, and them being so dominant has just kind of accelerated the clock a little bit. And, I know maybe the interest in the, girls county tournament up until the, semifinals of the final isn't going to be as, how can I say it, it'll be more predictable maybe this year than in years past. But, I think moving forward, I think that, you forget this Saddle River Day team, they're primarily seniors.
Right.
So I think, them coming back to the pack a little bit next year will help the county tournament, and now you have this other tournament already in place, and I think it'll make both the county tournament and the invitational tournament stronger as the years go on.
I think that's a great point, because on the boys' side, and here's where I give the girls, the Women's Coaches Association, so much more credit, is because they have seamlessly integrated these two things, Scotty. On the boys' side, when Joe Del Buono wanted to bring the BIT to give more teams the opportunity to play postseason Bergen County sanctioned basketball, he was met with a lot of pushback. And only by running a successful tournament and by having it be fun and something that coaches like putting their teams in, was he able to gain a foothold. I think he's in the 8th or 9th year of running it there, and I think the Bergen County boys side needs to become more integrated too here. I've had some discussions. I've met with the County Coaches Association. I mean, my ideas went over like a lead balloon at the time, but at least I was able to put them out there, and hopefully they will be revisited at some point in the relatively near future. But Scott, I think that the Women's Coaches Association being proactive here is a really great sign for the direction of not just girls basketball in Bergen County, but really the way high school sports are going in Bergen County.
Well, yeah, I mean, years ago we were talking about something like this even happening. It actually was kind of met with a little bit of little hesitation on the Women's Coaches Association side, because they felt the need that everything had to be equal across the board with every sport. And we tried to explain, like, you know, they were saying, all right, so, you know, you're going to 32, well, why don't you just expand to 40 or something, like they do in softball and maybe soccer or whatever. And explaining to them and just understanding that it's a different sport. You know, you have one pitcher in softball, you're able to compete, maybe it could be a decent game. Yep. You know, soccer, you have a decent goalie, or, you know, one kid that you could compete a little bit. You know, in basketball, if you don't have, you're not, you know, it's not happening. So when we started breaking down, like, especially Dave and I, going through years on from, like, and I know we've talked about it on this show numerous times.
Yep.
You know, the one Cliffside Park Paramus Catholic game that is a rarity.
Yep. Every
time we looked at anything below like a 21 seed or 22, it was a bloodbath. So, you know, I like the way that it's kind of filtered into where we basically had to tell Mike Weaver beforehand where you thought you may be, what you would want to do. You know, would you be interested in the Invitational or the counties if you're in the top 16? And then if you have a winning percentage over 625, you were not allowed in to the Invitational.
Right, that's an important point that we should.
Point.
Yes, if you had a 625 winning percentage, you were not eligible to play in the Invitational tournament. You had to go
unless you were seeded outside the 16.
Okay.
So, like, for example, a Ridgefield, I believe, actually might have been, you know, kind of outside looking in. So they said if we're outside there, then we're going to go into the Invitational, which is fair.
Okay.
You know, some teams, obviously, some of the teams that maybe play a weaker schedule at times, you know, they may have 9-10 wins, but, you know, you put them up against someone who is playing a tougher schedule. It's just like that. A perfect example, Hackensack, you know, I think they were 15 seeded with like 3 wins.
Yeah.
But their schedule is tough as hell, and you know, obviously they're very talented. So
and they won.
And they ended up beating Rutherford. They ended up beating Rutherford, who had 1 loss, right? I think 1 or 2 losses at the time. So, you know, stuff like that comes into play. But really, I can see South River Day coming back down to earth to an extent.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'll just say on a personal level, I see it in the town I'm coaching in. You know, I'm having to recruit my own kids, and kids leaving and go to middle school, trying to do middle school over there. And, you know, I hear fathers coaching middle school teams and going there in the 8th grade. So, I mean, I don't see it changing much, you know, from what I'm hearing. So,
right. And let's, you know, this year it's a senior-laden Saddle River Day team, but what's to stop any team from just, you know, loading up any, you know, in any given year? Yeah. I mean, you know, pick the non-public school in Bergen County who, through, you know, a reorganization towards sports, or, you know, a marketing decision to market towards sports, or however it is, they just go out and get as many good players, and it doesn't take long, and next thing you know, I mean, you know, if we were having this conversation 6 years ago about Saddle River Day, well, really?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And then they get Michelle Seguin. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. No, one of my last years coaching at Waldwick, we played them. They were 1-22.
Right.
It was a joke playing them. You know, I was able to play kids on the team that never played.
Right.
And still did fine. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, think about this: Magic Queen of Peace was still open. What they started doing.
You're right.
You know what I mean? Like that again, like you said. I mean, any of these non-publics can easily just whatever from year to year, and you know, I just don't understand why they're so hesitant to do their own thing.
Well, that's
like New York clearly.
Yes.
I know New York has a lot more. I know they have a lot more, you know, parochials to go around. They play the Catholic League and whatnot. But still, I mean,
well, you got to take the example of the greatest basketball coach in the history of high school basketball, Bob Hurley, who didn't put his team in the Hudson County tournament. So
exactly,
he wanted to play a national schedule. You know, and then you want to compete for a state title. You want to compete for the Tournament of Champions, in non-public brackets against schools that have the same resources and abilities to attract players that you do, hey, I'd be happy to cover it. That's high-level basketball.
Exactly.
I'm into it.
Yep.
I don't want to see 50-point games, and you can't say, in the old days, Scotty and Rich, we used to say, well, if you don't want to get beat by 50, play better. But come on, we're past that. I mean, if you don't want to get beat by 50, don't play a team that can grab players from anywhere they want, including your town, and come beat you by 50. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, look at, what do you think Park Ridge is going to...
The gap is just too wide now.
The gap is too wide. Yes, go ahead.
It is. It's way too wide.
Yep.
And, listen, Park Ridge is a very, very good team. We played them last year. They were young, and they had their entire team back this year. Yep. They're very good. Is it going to be a good experience for them to go to Old Japan this weekend and get the doors blown off them? I don't know. I mean, to me, that's not enjoyable.
All right, a couple things, and then I want to talk about the tournaments and everything else, and talk about some of these teams. But because I covered the Park Ridge game the other day and talked to the head coach. So the saving grace for Park Ridge in this year's tournament is they got this play-in game against Indian Hills.
Yes, Indian Hills.
The Group 1 goes on the road, plays a very good Group 3 team in Indian Hills, gets the win. Now, whatever happens against Saddle River Day, even if they do get beat by 50 or 60 points, they leave the tournament at 1-1. They walk out with a whole bunch of power points from beating a Group 3 on the road.
Yeah.
And they get to see what Saddle River Day looks like. And I talked to two of the girls from Park Ridge after the game. The point guard, Chloe Collister, and Maggie Meyer, the other senior. They have two seniors in the starting lineup. I interviewed both of them. And also head coach Ryan Dennis, were, after beating Indian Hills, then looking forward to the opportunity to play Saddle River Day. No pressure on them. There is no negative that can come from it now that they're probably going to leave the tournament at 1-1.
Okay.
So, and I having been accused of being a hater and all those other things, I was a little bit jaded when I went, and I said to Ryan, I'm like, hey, and how you going to go get killed? And he's like, yeah, but I want to play him. And I respect that. And it changed my perspective because, it rather than it being the 132, you walk in there, you get smoked, and you're out.
Yeah.
It's you got a chance to win your way into the opportunity to play Saddle River Day, and then you can look at it as playing with house money against girls that you're going to see play, on the Big Ten Network next year, which is cool.
Sure. Now, all right, I'll take back one thing that I said, because I have been a big advocate for this purpose here. I said the first round, usually, this is obviously a different the way it's seeded, but is at the higher seeds gym.
Right.
With that being said, now being that it was just 16, round of 16, and they're actually able to play, or they had a playing game, but then they're actually able to play now in a county tournament environment where, you're watching another game, you have other teams with fans coming in and out. That is a little bit more enjoyable to me. That makes it a little bit more exciting. Yeah, you're right. Winning that first round playing game is good. Now you walk into a gym where there's going to be 16 teams. You're one of 16 teams rolling in and out of these two gyms.
Right.
And everyone's around going from gym to gym and seeing what's going on. So that's more of an environment where in the past, and I said this, who wanted to go to the higher seed and just go get beat? You know what I mean? So again, that side of it I do like, because then if you are going to be, at least you are playing in a county tournament setting, which is really what it's all about. Like you said, how many teams are actually winning this whole thing anyway, even if it takes on the day aside? I mean, and anything. How many teams are always going to win their last game played?
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't, it's all about the experience for the kids. Something different, being seen by someone different, playing someone different.
Yep.
And I think we're underestimating. I mean, kids, especially at a Group 1 or maybe a small Group 2 or whatever. You want that shot against Saddle River Day or IHA. You want to see how you stack up against them, and maybe it doesn't work out favorably. But you know what? When you step on the floor, you're 5 high school kids against their 5 high school kids.
Yeah,
and it's just that it seems that in years past those good Group 1s and small Group 2s had a puncher's chance, and now it just doesn't seem that way.
Yeah, no, agreed. I mean, listen, even I outscored Bogota 6-2 on the day after New Year's in 1990. Of course, we went out to lose by 35 points, but it was 6-2, and I had all 6 points for the Fighting Leonia Lions back in the day. All right, so let's talk about some of these teams here now, because we are talking about Saddle River Day, and Richie, I'm going to go back to you here because, strip away all of the other ancillary issues that we're talking about here between, is it fair, is it this, is it not? Saddle River Day is the 3-time defending champion. Saddle River Day is the number 1 seed, and Saddle River Day has the best player to come through North Jersey. I don't even know where you put her in the pantheon of all-time great players in North Jersey. I mean, she's top 5. You're talking about Michelle Sidor. She's the best I've seen since Essence Carson. Maybe better. Let's see what happens on the collegiate level, but she's right there. Saddle River Day is playing for some history this year, Richie.
No doubt about it. And, going back to Michelle, I say she's the best ever to come out of Bergen County. It's tough to say because, everyone will have opinions, whether it's Ann Donovan or, one of the numerous Pascack Valley players, that come to the pike. But to do what she's done as a guard, the late great Ann Donovan, she was, her accolades, speak for themselves. But, she was also, reasonably athletic and way bigger than everyone else.
Great point.
To be a great post player, it's a little bit easier than to do it as, someone who shoots a lot of 3-pointers. You can rack up more points that way, but it's also a much lower percentage shot. But to say as great as she is, she's just one cog in a great team. They've been steamrolling opponents, and they don't even have Jada Patrick on the floor, who's an all-state caliber player who's going to Duke next year. And, they have a transfer, Sidney Caldwell, who's going to Arizona State, who just joined the starting lineup. And, it just seems like the hits just keep on coming for this team, and I don't see anyone stopping them anytime soon. Maybe not at all. They roll, I think, right through the county tournament, state tournament, all the way to the TSC title.
Has a Bergen County team ever won the Tournament of Champions?
A Bergen County team? No. I believe Patterson Kennedy won once in the 90s, but I don't think a Bergen County team has won it.
Okay. So again,
in fact, I don't know if a Bergen County team. I think didn't Ridgewood maybe make the finals one year, but like in the 90s. But I don't know if a Bergen County team has ever made the finals. Maybe one.
Yeah. So again, history is right there at the doorstep. And Scotty, I haven't seen IHA this year. I'm going to get into a lot more girls basketball starting now because the tournament is coming up, and because Richie B volunteered to do the Jambo this weekend, and the girls tournament is being played less than a mile from my house, from the world headquarters of NorthJerseySports.com, so I will be able to see some teams. But I don't know if you've seen IHA, and you talk about Anna Morris, who's another all-timer. She's still just a junior and all-state in two different sports. She's
Mahwah kid.
Is she really a Mahwah kid? Do you think she could help you in the middle a little bit?
maybe a little bit.
So, and we should mention too, Richie B, the one of the guards for IHA is our friend Brian Gassione's daughter as a freshman, getting minutes. So, is it a foregone conclusion with Saddle River Day, or can somebody like IHA get hot? Listen, Old Japan being the number 3 seed, Old Japan being the highest-rated public school team for good reason, and Old Japan, a team that has won the Group 3 state championship and been to the Tournament of Champions in 2 out of the last 3 seasons. Their resume speaks for itself, but again, as we were talking about on the boys' side, it seems that the public-private gap is too wide, but Scotty, is this a 1-horse race, a 2-horse race, or potentially a 3-horse race?
I mean, I would think it's a 1.5-horse race. I think maybe IHA can hang with Saturday for a little bit. I've only seen IHA on film, to be quite honest. Seen them, briefly watching another team. Was really more focused on the other team they were playing, but they got this. They got size. I mean, I think the one girl. Don't they have a girl after the year? A guard.
Yes. Who?
Right.
Yes.
I think that's a big loss for them.
Yeah, and this
is that what it is? I don't even know.
And this is the danger about speaking of teams that you haven't seen play yet or spoken to the coaches.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like I said, I mean, I watched.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
And not really knowing. No, listen. Obviously, I know Steve. He's a great coach, and they're clearly right there. As far as one of the top teams in Bergen County. So, I would think that it should be chalk getting there. 1 versus 2. Can they hang with Saturday? I don't know.
You're right. How do you know? How are you supposed to know? But
again, honestly, though, I mean, looking at the final last year, I thought Valley had a very legit chance. Now they don't. You missed. You added a couple pieces to Saturday this year too. But last year Valley had a very. They played a very good game. Until the very end, 2 minutes left. Well, they're down 5 or something like that, and they had a legit chance in that game.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I mean, that was a different Valley team with 2 Division I players, and, but again, they had 2 Division I players and another one who went, I think, Division II to Pace, and, Brianna Smith, who's the lone one back this year. But, yeah, I mean, they had that's how good you had to be to even stay close to that Saddle River Day team. And we'll see. I mean, it's going to be interesting, too. Before we get there, though, I mean, I think there's some other matchups that I am, very much looking forward to seeing starting this weekend. I think Ridgewood-Demarest in the round of 16 is a very good game. Pascagoula Valley-Riverdale is interesting. I covered that game, when they played in Hillsdale a couple weeks ago. Riverdale didn't shoot it well, and Valley, played well enough to win, but they've lost a couple of games now in between here and the start of this tournament. Richie B, there's some interesting round of 16 games. Even, take away Saddle River Day, Park Ridge, Ramapo Immaculate Conception is a great round of 16 game. You got some things to look at.
Actually, the 2 that really interest me that I think are the 2 biggest chances for an upset are Northern Highlands Westwood and Richfield Park Paramus Catholic.
Yeah.
The 5-12, 4-13 games. Richfield Park is playing a lot better than a team that is seeded 13th, and Paramus Catholic is talented but inconsistent. When they put it together, they should be the 4 seed. But I mean, they've not been as consistent as they need to be throughout the year. And Northern Highlands is another team. I mean, they're a 5 seed. They have 5 losses. They had a streak where they lost 4 out of 5 games. I know they just got Bria Davis back, but they are a team that if Westwood plays well, especially with Rachel Busanich or Busanich or however you pronounce it, she can play.
Right. And
she can get you a double-double. And, with Westwood, they're gonna slow the pace down, and they're gonna make you play at their tempo. And if they can do that, I think they can hang in there right till the end and maybe steal one.
Scotty, you know that Richfield Park program pretty intimately. I mean, what's the word around there? I mean, change of coach and, graduation of Dorian Caperso, and you think, but Richfield Park always seems a way to field a competitive girls basketball team.
Yeah, listen, it's a program that, I told my girls that, no matter who graduates and the next group of kids, and they do have a bunch of seniors on the team still left, but there's some young kids mixed in, and they don't want to be that team to fall off. And from year to year, that's been proven now recently, where you think, oh, you graduate during Caperso, and then boom, and they're still doing what they do, and they're going to outwork you, they're going to out hustle you, they're going to get every loose ball, and if you allow that to happen, if you allow that to frustrate you, they got you. They got you. And sure enough, it happened to Ramapo last year in the tournament.
Yep.
And they just, and Richfield Park thrives off that, and look, they're not happy with the seed they got. They're not happy that they already beat Paramus Catholic opening night by 20 points, and
yeah.
So it's a very interesting matchup. It's a very interesting matchup. I mean, obviously, who they played compared to maybe Paramus Catholic, obviously holds a little bit more water, but they're a tough team. They're a tough team to battle with. I sure as hell wouldn't want to be Paramus Catholic as a 4 seed playing them.
Yeah, how about that? And let's just take a minute to a nod to Richfield Park history here. First of all, Julie Ravito killing it at William Patterson University.
Yeah.
Dorian Caperso killing it at Rutgers Newark University. And Catherine Haynes is absolutely like playing at an All-American level at Sacred Heart.
I know.
I mean, she had a triple-double the other day.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Conference Player of the Week. I know.
Yeah, so and that's that's good basketball. That is not like that's a mid-major, not a low major.
And you just had Kelly Lane graduate from Ramapo, had a real good career there. You have another girl, Samantha Rinaldi at Ramapo, and you had Ashley Castillo playing at William Patterson. I mean, you had all those kids all played together. I mean, that's the type of basketball players you're talking about have been coming through there. So. Yeah, it is. I mean, it was a special time when Nicole had them. It was it was fun to watch.
Yeah,
but and watching them in college, it's tremendous.
Yeah, no, it's been fun to watch Catherine Haynes. I mean, Sacred Heart does some cool things on Twitter, and you could really follow along with. It's so much easier to follow along with how these kids are doing now as they move forward in their careers. It's great. I mean, I have a nice couple folders on my desktop here where. I have the conference breakdown. I can go to, pick it out any team and see where. And I like to follow the kids. They move on. Of course, it makes me feel old. Yeah, I just from talking to Julie Halagian the other day, the Indian Hills head coach, who I covered in high school when she went to Pascack Hills. Yeah. And I'm like, hey, Julie, how long have you been the head coach of Indian Hills? She's like, 7 years. I'm like, I feel like I just turned 90 when she said that.
I know.
It's so
I had
crazy.
Catherine Haynes in basketball camp. Her and Julie were in basketball camp in the 4th grade.
Oh, my God. Well, it beats the alternative, but it certainly does suck getting old. All right, so the other game that is of interest to me, and then I want to talk a little bit, I'll give you the last word on the county tournament, Scotty, because you're not in it, so you can speak a little bit more freely of it. But, interesting with Ramapo, the number 9 seed against Immaculate Conception, the number 8. Now, it's interesting that Immaculate Conception is seeded as low as 8, considering, what they've been doing. And, you talk about, what was her name, who plays at Louisville for Immaculate Conception, talking about feeling...
Sam Fearing.
Yes, Sam Fearing. They're a number 8 seed now, and they're going to play number 9 Ramapo. And Ramapo's got, forget one good freshman guard, they have an all-freshman backcourt with Julia Corella and Madison Schiller, who, those two are going to get their first look at Bergen County tournament competition. And I remember the last great player to come through there, Sarah Halagian, she lit it up as a freshman. I'm not putting them on the same level or whatever, but it's got to be fun for Sandy to see, this time 2 very good freshman guards coming in and making their mark on the varsity level, as freshmen. I mean, that's for a coach, Scotty, that's as good as it gets.
Oh, please. I mean, I'm fortunate enough to have one right now.
Yep.
One freshman point guard, we scrimmaged them, and it was the first scrimmage that you were eligible to scrimmage, so, Sandy was telling me how, she wasn't sure. I said, listen, I'm sure you'll be fine.
Yeah.
But, you could see it. You saw it real early, and this is now the first week of December, and now just seeing the box scores and watching the progression go through, and anytime you have freshmen on the floor, you're going to go through some growing pains, and I'm sure, especially playing a very, very competitive and tough schedule as they do, that doesn't make it easy for those guards either. But they're tremendous, and they're going to be, they could be right back to where they were when Sarah Legion was there. They're not far off.
No. Then I know too that there was some work involved to keep those 2 girls home, and they did, and we'll see how it pans out here. All right. Let's move on. Let's talk about this invitational a little bit here. Just the format is interesting because, the top team in each bracket gets a bye, and then The other two, what do you got? 3 teams in a bracket? I haven't seen. I've seen the overall bracket.
Top two teams get a bye.
Okay.
And then it's 6 teams in each bracket.
Okay.
Top 2 get a bye. 3-6 play. 4-5 play. And then the 1 and 2s play the winner of those games at the higher seed. And then it moves on to the quarters at Holy Angels.
Okay, so it's like the pod deal with a NFL wildcard playoff type twist in it.
Exactly.
And, Woodridge against Dwight Morrow is the winner. You'll play the winner of that game. I just got to say one thing about Woodridge. I do their team shots and their head shots, and, Dave Mosconi took over that program a couple years ago. I went down to do the team shots. I'm like, okay, Dave, where's the rest of the team? He's like, this is it. They had about 9 kids in the whole program, 0 seniors. It was just, it had wilted, and Dave has done a great job of bringing back the numbers, the enthusiasm, the competitiveness, and that's why I believe this invitational tournament is great, because they're going to play Dwight Morrow in the opening round with a chance to win. Now, Dwight Morrow also with the similar chance to win, and Woodridge might come out of here, play Mahwah, and if they walked out of there 1-1, what a great experience for a rebuild from a program that really started from scratch under Dave Mosconi just a few years ago to, get a taste of postseason basketball. And then, like Mahwah, Scotty, you have a solid program. Mahwah has been a solid program over the year, but, if it's Woodridge or Dwight Morrow, it's not going to be a 50-point game. No, you've got some work to do, and your kids, it's good for your kids too to find that competitiveness in a tournament atmosphere too. So that's where I think this invitational tournament is great, and that's why I think the BIT is great on the boys' side too.
Yeah, listen, I mean, any of these first round matchups, second round matchups, the 1 seeds are just 1 seeds by, maybe by some reputation, also by who you played a little bit.
Right.
But really, I mean, I told you before, I mean, we very easily could lose to either Woodridge or Dwight Morrow. And I'm not just saying that just to play, possum here, because as a coach you should do that, but I'm being dead honest here when I tell you. I mean, like, I've seen Woodridge once on film. We just played Dwight Morrow the other day, but they were missing their point guard, which is remember Sabrina DeFries, her younger sister, who's excellent as a freshman. And then they have another kid. I mean, they're tough, and you look at it, it's like, well, listen, they could. And then if you get past there, I'm just looking at my side. I mean, Midland Park, Lyndhurst. I mean, those are 2 very good teams.
Yes.
So you never know. I mean, that's why I said, like, this whole bracket is very interesting, and it's going to be fun to watch and see how it kind of pans out. I really could honestly see, one bracket having a 4 seed there, one bracket having a 5, one bracket having a 2. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because it really matters about who gets hot, because the talent level is not so spread apart. Like, listen, you could go into the Saddle River Day game hot as the number 16 seed and lose by 50. If you go into any game in this tournament hot, you got a real chance to win. And I've seen it happen in BIT where a team just gets hot and wins it. And I also feel 100%. Like at least on the boys' BIT side, I think the kids obviously not necessarily they feel the difference between a regular season game and a postseason game, but they don't feel the pressure. So I think I've told Joe Del Buno that they should just go out. They should get the red, white, and blue balls like the old ABA and the 3-point shooting contest. Just roll it out there, and sometimes, like, there have been BIT games played in the 90s and the 80s and the 70s. And on the girls' side too, maybe you just go out there and you have a little bit of fun. Play some offense.
Exactly.
Try to win.
Yeah, why not?
Richie
That's
B.
What I said. I told the girls this. We told them beforehand. I don't have a senior on my team. So, we told them, I said, listen, that's our focus, regardless of how we end up, and, that's where we belong, this year. I said, and you know what? Next year, we're all back, and if we all put in the time and the effort, and, in the off-season to be there, now we want to be that Westwood, Richfield Park, that top 12 seed. We want to be there. Like, regardless of anything else, like we talked about with the Invitational in the counties, but, next year when you have a team that the entire team's back and you have some talent, that's our goal now. I said, okay, this is good. Let's see how it works out. Let's go out and have some success hopefully. But next year, you want to be a top 12 seed. That's something that we're kind of pushing for, and getting into the girls' heads right now.
Yeah, and this gives you the option. You can play here, you can gain some confidence and carry it over. Richie B, anything else you want to say about the Invitational? Any matchups you like, or just format stuff? What do you got?
I mean, I think it's, as Scotty said, I think it's very well balanced. And, I mean, Scotty, I don't think he can make any predictions being that he's in the tournament.
Right.
But I think it'd be fun if Corey, you and I, picked our Final Four, picked our winner, and went from there.
In what? In the county or the the county's easy. I'm taking Saddle River Day against IHA in the final. Saddle River Day wins. Okay, that takes care of that.
There you go.
All right, Richie. Now I'm with you.
Well, I got my semis in final. I got obviously Old Japan IHA. On the other side, I got Saddle River Day and Richfield Park.
Oh wow!
Pulling off 2 upsets.
Is that just because Scotty's here or no?
No. I mean, they're just a gritty team. I just like the matchups that they have, and I think they can win a couple games. But I think anyone who it's tough not to say Saddle River Day, IHA, and Saddle River Day winning.
All right, let's go to the Invitational.
They're both just way ahead of everyone else in the county. Team today is better than IHA at this point. Going to the Invitational, I got Fairlawn. I got Fairlawn and Mahwah coming out of one side of the bracket. On the other side of the bracket,
yeah, I like it.
I do. On the other side of the bracket, I got Tenafly and I got Dumont.
Oh boy,
that's right. In honor of Bergen County,
fan favorite.
The fight, the Fold Huskies are going to come out, and I'm going to say I got Fairlawn and Tenafly in the final, and Tenafly winning the inaugural Girls Invitational tournament.
That is absolutely crazy. And I will tell you something else, too. I think you have a massive crush on Scott Papetti because you took Dumont to get all the way there. He's a Dumont graduate. You picked Richfield Park in the tournament, and you picked Mahwah. So it's like Scotty Papetti Day over there in Richie B's bracket land.
I haven't talked to him in a while.
Right.
I miss that. What can I tell you?
Yeah. So, all right. So, Richie B is.
It would have been nice if Mahwah do my final. That would have been even better. But
well, listen, I'm rooting for a Mahwah do my final because I know there will be cocktails at Dave Saplicki's house if that ever happened, and it would certainly be an epic
100%.
night. And we could even, invite some of the old boys like Nikki DeBarry and Jeff Cole there and make a real night of it. But I will agree with you, Richie B. I will say Fairlawn. I will say now it hurts me to say that Palisades Park will not be coming out of that bottom bracket. But I did see them on opening night against Pagoda on the girls' side. They were impressive that night, so I can live off that memory for a while because I'm taking Mahwah to come out of the bottom of that bracket. I am going to take, how about Emerson? Give me Emerson, Group 1 Emerson out of the top right-hand corner. And as much as I love Dave Saplicki, and Brian Hay for that matter, I'm going to go with Holy Angels and Sue Liddy, who is maybe one of the greatest women's basketball coaches ever in the history. Well, not maybe. She is one of the greatest women's basketball coaches in the history of Bergen County and the state proper. And she's in the inaugural Bergen County Invitational Tournament. I'm going to take Sue Liddy straight through to play Scotty Papetti in the final with Sue Liddy coming out on top. I am sorry, Scott, but listen, that's a tremendous
compliment.
compliment.
Very generous so far. I'm hoping to get past our first one. That's all I'm worried about right now.
Right. You were the one who said you could lose to Woodridge or Dwight Morrow.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, you never know.
And if you do,
if you do, next week's show is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Well, no, it'll be 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Right. You don't get started. You have a bye this weekend. All right,
we
good.
have to sit and watch.
Well, I am glad that we got the ball game proper back up and situated. Glad to have Scotty Papetti back as our insider analyst. And Richie B, it's great to have you back in the co-host chair. I understand you're going to go out and cover a game tomorrow, so back to business as usual, huh, pal?
That's right. Took a little 6-week hiatus, Didn't get any vacation time, though. I got vacation time. I didn't actually vacation anyway.
Oh.
But I will be back on the beat tomorrow, and I'll be ready to roll straight through the TSC final.
We will see you next week on the ball game.
Follow the